We engage in authentic conversations about our weekly entrepreneurial goals while exploring business, failures, success, and personal growth.
We're going to continue to work and get better at this, so thanks for tuning in.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Our vision will highlight a diversity of guests who are creatives, industry leaders, and individuals creating positive change within our communities. Join the Our Vision podcast on our shared journey to becoming better humans. It's not only our vision, but it's your vision too.
FSU.
So, what's up?
Tell me, Brad.
Tell you what.
Tell me.
I'm telling you right now.
All right.
Telling you nothing.
So, this week, how was that drive to Willoughby to do the photo shoot?
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. I forgot we did that.
What day was it? Monday?
The road sucked.
Yeah, so we're here in Ohio, and we ended up having a snowstorm and drove an hour and a half away and did a photo shoot there, so that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and smooth.
Joe didn't
driving.
kill us.
Well, I drove
We
slow.
survived.
We did. So, that was one thing we did this week. But the other thing we did this week, today specifically, we came up with a name.
Oh, yeah, we did that too.
Yeah. After hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of names, Brad put on a piece of paper. And
should we reveal it?
I think we should.
I don't know. It might suck, though. It's already kind of getting old on me.
Fuck.
I'm just kidding, Joe.
I know.
But yeah, it might suck. I know. All right, so here it is. The reveal after writing down 500 names to choose from.
So we were sitting around. We've been trying to name it. We just didn't want to throw any name at it because we wanted it to be decent, right? And we did find some that we liked, but they were already taken. So sometimes you're like, yeah, I really like this one. And then we look it up, and of course somebody had it.
It's because everybody has a podcast, I guess. That's what they say.
I don't know. So we were sitting at the editing stations today, and we were working, and I was looking up some metadata stuff, and Brad was looking up some names and doing that. And I looked over, and he was looking up a generator. I think you're looking on generators, words, just looking up words like we were doing the night before. And I look over, and I see vision, right? And then I'm like, our vision, right? And you're like,
yeah.
And all of a sudden we both looked at each other and we're like,
yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works. So
but then I was like, also, I'm tired of looking. Let's just.
No, I don't think I didn't get that feeling though from you at that time. You're like, no, it actually
works. It works.
So
it's going to be the Our Vision,
right?
Spelled HOUR.
Right, and then we like to play off of our OUR and the hour. So
we have a fucking name now.
Yep, it's good.
Congratulations.
So today I was looking up metadata stuff, and I was sharing that a little bit with you. And all these years I've been producing and editing photos and not putting any metadata in. Just silly. Not silly. I can put my name in. I can put the website in. I can put, all that baked into the digital fingerprint of the media that we produce. And so I was reading a little bit more about making sure I take the time to do that, which I think is going to make a difference. When you look at Google, how it reads information and decides what's important information for the person that's searching. So I'm going to start doing more of that.
Does that go hand in hand with the metaverse? Metadata and the metaverse?
I don't think so. This is way before the metaverse.
It's totally different.
It is.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be playing in the metaverse. It doesn't seem like something I'm going to do.
Your metadata is not going to live on the metaverse?
I hope
it
not.
Probably
Maybe.
will.
I probably will, but I won't be playing in it. So we finally have you set up a bunch of things today too.
Yeah, now that we have a name, we can start getting everything ready to post. So, yeah.
So
I set up, I got the domain name, social media set up, got our email. Excuse me. I think that's about it.
Yeah. So you set up Instagram,
now I was working
Facebook.
on logo sketches.
Ideas.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you come up with anything?
I mean, I just was brainstorming and sketching shit.
Doodling.
Yeah.
So that'll probably take us another 6 weeks.
You know what we should do? We should use your little colored sketches for the background. That'd be kind of cool.
The ones I did, the digital ones?
Yeah. You should make one of those, and then I'll do like a text thing over top of it.
It would be actually kind of cool to develop the whole thing and record it like that, the artwork. So on the iPad, when I was...
Well, you can record it too, but...
You can record actually designing it.
It won't work on all profile images. I'm saying when you're using it in as the logo.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is it would be just kind of fun to just, as you're designing it, to record
but
it.
Can you even do that now since you don't have your
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah.
other iPad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As long as I had a stylus, I could do it. What's nice about that Apple Pencil is that it's got pressure points and all that, so it would be different, but it still would work on that program that I use.
So do it.
I'll have to look at it and see. Remember what app I had.
I see eyeballs in it. Maybe like a clock or something representing time.
Vision.
Yeah.
So looking at the metadata too, we were talking a little bit today about embedding that into the video production that we do and increasing the value of the product that we create for our clients. And I think it will help. I think it's important that we look at that and make profiles for each client that we do. Yeah. I was doing some reading today on that, so that's kind of nice too. So you can make a profile for each, like if I do an engagement or if we do something to do with dentist, or if we do something with education, or if we do something with food and beverage, we can kind of have a template for each one of those and then tweak it with the description and the keywords. But I think that's really important that we look at that. So what else is going on?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll just say we've been on the air for what? We'll just say here.
Okay.
Silent.
Silence. Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's all I worked on today. I mean, I pretty much...
It was frustrating a couple times, I know.
What, for me?
Hmm?
How so?
Hey, you were struggling
I don't remember
to
being frustrated.
You were frustrated with Facebook and how it was. You had to set up a whole new profile to be able to do that, to keep it separate from the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a pain.
It happens. I get frustrated like that when I'm working on something.
Don't get me going on Facebook.
Why not? It's free. Fuck it.
Because it sucks.
It's free. What do I care?
I go and create the whole account, and you have to make up your own personal page first, because I didn't want to connect it with my personal page that I use. And then from there, you got to make your, like in our case, a podcast page separate from that.
Right.
And did all that. And then all of a sudden it said, this account is, what did it say? It said it's not eligible or
something along those lines. And then you kind of figured it out. You said it might be because you shut off all the permissions and security.
Yeah, because I don't want to use the original account I made to make that.
And was that what it is? Because you never did give me.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, that did frustrate me. Bastards. Mark Zuckerberg, get on it. Make it more simple. He just wants, he's getting rich off of all of us.
Capitalism. Good for him. It's a personal choice, I guess.
Stealing our shit.
And we're giving it to him.
Selling it.
We're giving it to him freely.
That's why I'm going to deactivate and delete my account.
Just go underground.
Go underground.
Quit and give up.
Yes. Done.
Right. So you did set that up, and you set up a YouTube account. Yeah, you got quite a bit done today. Oh,
yeah. YouTube account. Yeah. Got all that set up. Now I just need all the design work, and got to figure out like how all the analytics work. And have a plan. I mean, at first I'm not worried about getting too crazy with it. I'll learn as I go.
Right.
But like YouTube, there's a lot you can do with it. That's just, I mean, it's going to be on a bunch of just audio podcast platforms, but it'll also be on YouTube. And that's just where the visuals will live, unfortunately. People have to look at our faces.
you were saying it was lucky we didn't go down the turnpike the other day because you were reading that one story about the plow truck barreling down the turnpike at whatever, I guess 70 miles per hour. My brother was telling me the same thing. He came across it too, and they were saying that Scotty said he came across video footage that he was going so fast that it was shooting over the medium into the other direction. I was like, Jesus Christ, like how fast was he going?
Yeah, it was going hardcore.
He's like, oh, I'm done working. I'm
like,
just
fuck
gonna,
it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go really quick and get this done. Well, apparently he'd been working there for 6 years, Scott said.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange. So I'm like, well, maybe something medical happened. Like, who would do that? Drive 70.
Fucks given. It's like, I'm going to kill some people today.
Nobody got hurt. So luckily nobody was.
People did get hurt.
Nobody died.
No one died.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that would be nuts to see. It's very bizarre that somebody that works for the state for 6 years, would fucking drive 70 miles per hour. Doesn't make any sense.
No.
I misunderstood the story at first. I thought it was like he had an accident. But it wasn't that. So, anyways, yeah. Here you go. Ohio crazy plow guy.
Shit happens.
Certainly does. That day it definitely happened to over 40 people.
Every day.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to have countered that. It was already stressful enough driving on the road, having crazy plow guys. So, could be worse though, right, Brad?
Could be.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
I don't know what could be worse.
Could have just plowed through cars with his plow.
Well, that's kind of what I thought happened, but it's not what happened at all.
And whatever else. Hit the cars on the other side of the highway. Good for him. Class act.
I don't think he's going to get a raise anytime soon.
Probably hates people.
He must have snapped.
Or you just thought he was doing his job.
He's out of practice. We haven't had much snow this year.
Oblivious to the fact that he was trying to kill people.
Like I said, I thought it was something medical. I was trying to like stick up for the guy. I'm like, maybe it was something medical or something. Maybe something happened to him. I don't think.
I don't know.
Maybe.
May never know.
We may never know. Oh, so I was actually kind of excited about this, Fred. The changes in Adobe Bridge for editing photos. I'm showing you that this week. They've done a great job with the masking on it. It like opens up a whole new realm of editing for me. It's like, oh, good. Because I don't know, just the way you can color pick. You might have been able to do it before, but I don't know. The interface seems to be easier to use for me. So I'm really excited to do the next client's photos and edit them and see the latitude that I have. Yeah. I was playing around with it for about 45 minutes to an hour this last day or so, and it definitely makes a difference in the editing process. I was shocked how much you could, even for the sky thing, not that I will be doing that, but how easily you can just, in Photoshop, it's just picking out the sky instantly. So, I mean, they've made some really good upgrades on masking and detecting and autofill, and so, yeah, it's nice.
I heard the Phantom buzz again.
I've heard it 3 times now since we started, but I have no clue what that's from.
I don't know.
So it's right before we were saying this, so maybe I wonder if we'll hear it. If we only hear it here, or do we hear it there? Excuse me. Get the hiccups.
No, you do hear it.
Do you?
In post, yep.
So, really impressed with some of the, over time, since I started using Photoshop till now, like the difference in the tools, the capabilities, and how good they do for like autofill, and when you're trying to, like on the one photo I was working on today, it had like this big concrete circle. It's like, that's not appealing. I just draw around it and it fills it in really nice. When that tool first started, it was, it wasn't as, didn't hide it. The content aware was not as good. So definitely impressed with where they're going with it. Definitely streamlines the process. I know you don't use it, but you definitely understand it.
No, that's not what I was going to say. You had that sky masking tool. I don't know what it's called, what the features
I think it was
are,
called, almost just like sky something or other in Photoshop. I found it today and just clicked on it.
Oh, that was Photoshop.
That was Photoshop. I switched over, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Definitely, like I said, it's nice to see that they stay on that product and continually update it and try to do better for professionals. Yeah, that would be great.
What'd you think of Peacemaker?
Hilarious. Complete ridiculousness from the time it starts till the time it ends.
Yeah.
And John Cena?
John Cena.
He's hilarious in it. Like the timing and everything is really funny.
Yeah.
I told you I'm getting some important shit. It cracks me up.
Yeah, he's good in it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's entertaining.
I didn't think he was that great in Suicide Squad, which you were watching last night.
Yeah, and I didn't understand the difference in the character.
Improved.
I don't want to like do any spoiler alerts, but like the characters don't seem to line up completely. What I'm seeing in the movie, it's not the same as what I'm seeing in the show.
No.
And maybe that'll happen over time. I don't know. Maybe they're going to build them into that. I'm not sure.
I don't think there's a lot of... I can't remember what happens throughout. But I don't think there's much to do with the people in the office. They bring them out more in the series.
His abilities seem to be less in the show than in the movie.
He's more dopey in the show than he is in the movie. Yeah. He's more calculated and precise in the movie. He's still a little dopey mentally, but
but not like
falling off balconies and crashing.
I thought it was good, bro. I enjoyed it. It's funny stuff.
Yep.
Silly. Yeah, you're right. We're gonna come up with a different plan for where we're sitting. It's definitely need to.
Yeah, you have a better spot because you can kind of lean up, and here I don't. I'm like fucking over here, sinking into the couch,
crunching in. This couch is sucking me in. You could stick your face through one of the pillows and talk out of it. Sit back into it. Like you're sucked in. Your little face poked out.
You could do that.
I could do that?
Yeah, you're the one small man.
You're the one getting sucked in.
Tiny man.
I don't know. You're looking pretty doppy over there.
In there.
You don't think?
How's that doppy? Because I can't get comfortable?
The way you're...
Be doppy if I like fell over.
When you're getting sunk in, you're kind of like...
Or knocked my drink over like last time. That would be doppy.
Yeah, I've done that. You've almost done it twice. Once with the arm and once on the couch.
I know. There's nowhere to put anything. And then on the table, I have to... Man, people probably think I complain a lot. They're like, God damn, this guy... What the hell is this? All he does is complain.
Debbie Downer fucking bitch.
Hey, guys, this isn't easy for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I'm doing the best I can to get off my neck.
Fuck. Well, I get in front of the camera and I tend to blank. I'm like, what do I talk about? Yeah. It's almost like people are watching you when you got the camera in front of you.
Right.
So it's kind of how it feels. I'm getting used to it, and I think this, like how we were talking about earlier, when I'm talking to someone, I don't like having to turn like this to you. Yeah, we're kind of sideways. I'd rather be sitting and looking directly at you than turning.
Yeah, at least angled. I think these are things that make a difference. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not easy getting on, carrying a conversation because we kid around all day long. We talk all day long about things, sometimes serious, some not, but then we get in front of the camera and it's a little more difficult.
Yep. Complain about our first world problems.
Yep. First world problems. I told you that a few months back. I never comment on shit online, right? So some woman on there was standing up for Britney Spears. And I had no clue of like what was going on really. I kind of did, but
I still don't know anything about what's going on. I know something about her parents.
She wasn't able to control her own life or something. So I was on some dude's page, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, he's got a good sense of humor. I'm just going to say first world problems, right? So I do that and I write first world problems about it. And then next thing I know, I get like blasted by somebody. Like, it's women, and it's unfair and it's human rights and da. I'm thinking, oh my God, I had no clue what I was getting into. I was like, I'm just kidding around. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't say anything. They ended up deleting the message, but I still had it. I'm like, this is crazy.
Joe was just trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah, I was just, I honestly was like, I don't want anybody to suffer, but first world problem.
Yeah.
She'll figure it out.
Yeah. Life's not easy. That's for sure. No matter who you are.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, it seemed pretty bad. Somebody was pretty upset about all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so funny how people are online.
That's why I avoid it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Try to stay away from it all.
Got to be very cautious of what you say sometimes.
I'd rather have a direct conversation with someone than type in comments about how I feel or what I think.
Like a back and
because then like people are more real when you're talking. Like they're more authentic.
Yeah. When you're
like when they're online, like I've seen people that I know online, spouting all this gibberish, whatever.
Right.
But I know them, and when you talk with them in person, they're totally not even like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen that.
They're like kind people, like good people, and
that anonymity behind the, I mean, it's been said 1,000 different ways the same way, but yeah, somebody's on the other side of a keyboard or on the other side of a room or the other side of the world, they can say whatever the hell they want. Yeah. It's a little harder when you're standing face to face to say something that might be offensive or
and people get
inconsiderate, It's like,
and they get caught up in all that shit. It's not worth it.
No, and I've had a couple really close friends that have done that, or acquaintances, I should say. And you're like, man, just stop, slow down. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be, even if you feel that way, you don't need to be saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a shit show for sure.
Some of it is.
It is. It's a shit show.
Most
of it is.
Nah, I don't know.
A lot of it is.
I don't know. Yeah. I think you'd have to define what a lot would be, like a situation, but I think there's still a lot of good on there. For example.
It's a shit show, Joe.
For example.
It's a shit show.
Like being able to...
You know it is.
No, fuck, you know me. I'm not going to disagree to agree. But I think like to be able to, like when I say online, like the amount of information you have access to now is really great.
Yeah, but you don't need to utilize social media to gain access to...
Depends on what you're looking for.
Knowledge.
Depends on what you're looking for.
Like what? Give me an example.
Marketing. Social media. There's a bunch of people talking about marketing online. Social media.
Okay, when I say social media, I'm talking about like Facebook, Instagram. YouTube's a good
I've seen people on
tool.
Instagram doing it too. So I think it depends on the type of information you're looking for.
Yeah, what you're seeking out.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving an example of like what's on my personal account. I'm not getting any of that shit. And I don't even focus on any like the stuff that I see. I try to stay away from it. I try to spend as little time as possible.
Which is like if you're learning a new skill and you look up 10 people, right, that are doing it. And you're like, this guy doesn't really seem like he knows what he's doing. And then you come across 2 or 3 or 4 other guys. And you're like, oh, okay, they're both kind of doing the same thing. And you're looking at that skill online, and you're like, oh, this sounds credible. And you start to see that overlapping information, and I like that. I like having access to that.
Yeah, I don't seek it on those platforms. I guess I should say. Me personally, I'm not seeking educational stuff. I mean, I'll come across some articles and stuff, but I try to find that outside of like doing my own browsing on the web, Yeah,
I think it just depends on what you're looking for.
Facebook or...
But I don't think everybody that's on social media is like, it's crap and it's a shit show. I don't feel that way. I think there's a lot of interesting individuals on there doing the gamut. You know what I mean? Do I think people react like we're talking about, like when they're texting or arguing online? Yeah, I think people do that. But I don't think everybody's doing that.
I didn't say everyone's doing it.
Well, you said it's all a shit
show.
But
I see more shit show than I see positive stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll give you,
but that's me.
Yeah.
And that's why I stay away from it. And I don't seek out that stuff. You know me.
No, I know. No, you don't. Shit. You don't.
And it just...
You're being honest about that. Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the things I like about being able to talk to you, Brad, is that we can disagree.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, oh, and I'm butthurt now. I'm not going to talk to Brad for fucking 6 weeks because we don't agree.
You suck.
But we do disagree at times, but I do like.
I see your perspective. I'm not totally saying it like against what you're saying,
right?
But from what I see, from my personal perspective, I don't like what I see,
right?
And where it's going.
What I like about information online is that you can find credible information.
You can find it,
but you have to be. I'm
not saying you can't,
and I know you because you do it. We do it.
Yeah, most of the things that we learn are from the internet.
Like today, when I was reading about all that metadata and finding people that work for Google and learning about how that affects, website development, affects having a fingerprint to know if your work's being used in other places and right? That's all reading online, right? But that wasn't social media. That was YouTube. One was YouTube, and one was the actual websites that somebody had developed, and they had given this information, and they're blogging or giving information about that because it makes sense for the better you do in business, it's better for them, right? So that's what they were doing, is offering up information. But that was not social media, like you said. So I agree with you that you're probably not going to learn, have an epiphany being on social media. You know what I mean? Probably. You have to go a little deeper if you're really learning, how to code something or whatever, right? Right. But the positive things I see about social media is that there's individuals that are creating whole businesses and informational platforms, and there's some creative individuals that are able to make a job, has a platform to allow them to get their message out and make a living. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I understand that.
But the kids, man, like my grandson, they want to be YouTube stars now. It comes down to that like e-sport mentality, like my nephew, you know what I mean? Like they want to play video games and get paid to do so. Mm-hmm. That's not the generation you and I come from. Doesn't mean we can't understand it or appreciate it. So, but I'm glad you're bringing that up. I don't think I agree with you on that level, as that wouldn't be my last resort for credible information, would be social media. Right?
You're just into all the advertising and marketing now.
Oh yeah. Well, but I've always been a sociologist, and I'm fascinated when I love how the groups of people work and move on the macro and micro level, and like to understand like there's individuals that can move masses of people to buy something. That's insane. Like the amount of work that goes into that. I love that. What's your favorite source of information if you're learning something technical for like the software you use for editing? Like, do you go to...
I love YouTube.
Okay. And probably
I think YouTube is like schooling on its own. It's like free school.
Right.
I mean, you just pay your internet bill. It's a lot cheaper than what we paid.
Yeah.
And way more. There's way more knowledge to be found on YouTube than anything I ever gained in school.
Well, I also think doing it too, right, brother?
And doing it,
yeah. Because like you were sitting there, if you're not doing anything, then you're not forced to learn something.
Yeah.
I think that's what I used to love about when we were at the college working in the labs, is like helping other people. If they had a problem, help me learn. That makes sense. So while you're doing it, you get to learn.
When I was in college, all right, I'm not even going to say it because it's going to sound negative. So.
No, but you understand what I'm saying, like about doing something. And
yeah.
And so if you're actively doing something, it's forcing you to like come against a roadblock and you're like, oh, I don't even know how to do that. Like, why is it working? Yeah, YouTube is great for that kind of stuff. That's what I like about Adobe products is you can go and look at the on lynda.com. When I first started learning different software, I loved that because they were actually the developers of all the software you were learning. So that made it easier too. It's all visual with the video.
Yeah.
So great, man.
I never really used lynda.com. I have, but not that much.
Well, I had to because I wasn't around computers a whole lot when we started over a decade ago. So there was quite a bit I had to learn. Where a lot of you guys were.
For me, it was a struggle to learn.
Was it?
Any of the software when I first started. And I got I asked for help.
Right.
And so it came down to me figuring it out on my own without ever using
Well, I don't
Illustrator, the Adobe suite.
Yeah, I don't think you're being negative. That was the truth. It was that there was a limited scope of the individuals who were supposed to be teaching us didn't know the programs.
Yeah.
So
and I don't mean to like cut you off, but most of the kids that were going there were younger than me, and they had that stuff in high school. I didn't have that stuff when I was in high school. So they kind of knew, they had kind of their feet wet in that. And
well, because like not only did they know, but there's so much overlap. Once you start to learn, then you realize that there's this overlap of interface and kind of intuitiveness of using a program from one program to the next. So it's kind of like it overlaps, right? So once you start learning one, like, oh, I kind of know what this looks like. Oh, I kind of know what this is a text, this is an image, I drop images in here. Oh, this is a container for that, so, or this is a color palette or blah, 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 right? So when you don't have that to go from, you're like way behind everybody else, so I felt the same way, but definitely, Linda, my point was, Brad, though, was Linda was very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Because these were the professionals that developed those programs, and then I could at least get the basics and go into intermediate and higher than that. And I spent hours doing that, trying to figure out what I need to do. And there's people 150 times better than me on some of these programs, but I'm capable of using those and still making money doing that now and continually trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
For what I need. You only got so many hours in a day, so it's not like I want to be an expert in manipulating photos at this point where I do, crazy Photoshop work. That's not my style. It's not what I want to do. But, that was a great source of information. So what did you use? If you didn't use Linda, were you going to YouTube early on, or were you just kind of pushing through it, piecing it together?
I was just pushing through it, trying to do the best I could. I didn't know about Lynda. I don't know when lynda.com came out. I don't know how long it's been around, but I didn't learn about that until later on. So
my
I didn't have many resources.
My dad knew about it because he was into computers. He's been in computers since the 80s, and I came home and shared the story that you and I know. And I really don't want to be public about that because I don't want to be negative, but right now about that kind of thing. But he's like, yeah, you need to this is what you need. And he got me a trial membership with it, and I started playing around with it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this works out great. So had it not been for my father, I wouldn't even have known about it, Brad.
Yeah.
Which you've met my dad, and he's pretty exceptional for being a 70-year-old as far as technology goes.
Yeah, your dad knows a lot of stuff, tech-wise. But another thing was, like I was telling you, a lot of the younger students that were there, like I'd ask them occasionally, but I didn't want to bother them too much because like they're working on getting their education, and I didn't want to be the guy that was like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this?
Right.
And I felt like an idiot because I didn't know. That's just kind of how I felt at the time. I was in my early 20s at the time because I didn't go until a little later. You the same, right?
I was, my 30s.
You were older than me.
Yeah, the only reason I went back to school is because we had an economy crash.
Yeah.
I was basically hiding out in college to weather the storm of everything collapsing.
And the reason I went, yeah, true. So, and that wasn't the reason why I went. I went because I wanted to do something creative. I loved art, and I wanted to do something creative, and that's just the mindset I am. And I think a little push from somebody too that was like, Brad, you should go to college because that's the right thing to do. Looking back on it, that's bullshit, but...
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was hiding out, but I did choose something that I was interested in. It wasn't like I'm just going to go do that. It wasn't like a dumb, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do... No, I actually went in sites and actually looked at the growth rate of video production, photography, web design, content creation, and all that. There was you could go and do that research on government sites, and there was a good percentage, and that was going to continue to increase over how, I forget what it was, 10, 15, 20 years, right? And so it was a good choice. It still is a good choice today. The education, on the other hand, could have been better, without a doubt. But I'm glad I did what I did because it allowed me the time to explore like what we're talking about. So I found companies I can learn from. I started realizing how I can hunt down information online and start to learn and get better at what we do, right? And we're still doing that today. I mean, that's what we did half the day today was working.
Every day I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always something I don't know. There's always a piece of the puzzle that I don't know, that almost every day I think I'm looking up something. How to do something different or finding a solution to something
But I think where we gotten better at is not only we're looking up that we're actually applying it to something. Right? So it's not just looking it up, right? Don't you feel like we're getting better at like, okay, we're applying it. And it's inching us forward to either getting our name out there, improving the product, marketing, whatever it might, pick the subject, putting a better graphic design logo into the video or whatever, right? Or using an effect or something like that. So I think when you say that's kind of nice that we're moving towards that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm learning every day. But we have the time to do so too. And we need to utilize our time effectively. I don't think we got up from the computer. We started later today, but we didn't get up from the computer until like 5:30 today.
Yeah, we're
there quite a bit.
hashing out whatever we were working on.
Both of us, like,
throughout most of the day.
Yeah.
I've had a little time to work on the podcast stuff, so I've been I actually enjoy it. And I work.
You put a lot of time into it, Brad. Way more than I know what to do. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do though, like editing and all that. So
we got to streamline that process too. We don't want it to be too time consuming on that level, but
yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Once it's set up though, like there's not much more you have to do. Just post and improve marketing and advertising.
Post and improve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just did a Joe head tick.
I had the kid at school. I was like, why am I getting so angry at this kid? And I used to teach kids had autism, right? And so I'd have to track their data and their behavior, and I'd be modifying and working with the kid and helping them get through and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, man, this kid is irritating the hell out of me. I'm like, finally I looked at my friend, Joe. He's a therapist. I'm like, I think I know why. He's mimicking me. He's being me. So I kept modeling his own like physical behavior after me. And every time I'd see him, he was like basically mirroring me. And I'd be so irritated at him. But I love that kid, man. He was intense, but I love him.
Tell everyone what that one kid said when he came in.
I can't
school one morning.
I can't believe
he's like, what did he say? Rise and shine, motherfuckers.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Got off the bus. Rise and shine. Man, I about fell over. There were so many days doing that job. And it wasn't just a job, you know that for me. And it was like,
what'd you learn? What'd you take away from it though? If there's anything
that
positive.
I knew, well, number one, I knew nothing. I thought I knew what autism was. I didn't have a clue of what families go through. And the positive thing always goes back, and you know this, I say this all the time, Brad. It's like, the more I live, the less judgmental I become.
Yeah.
And that job, when you started off, it made you really uncomfortable because you had to deal with your own processing of dealing with a human being that is struggling. You know what I mean? And you had to find a way to communicate with somebody that was having trouble to communicating. And you had to do that in an authentic and loving way. So what did I bring from that? Less judgmental. Like I have no clue. Even though we had those kids and we're going through all those behaviors with them, I didn't know what the families were going through every day. You know what I mean? Like maybe they might be screaming or hitting or, there are a lot of different shades to that, right? I mean, some more intense, some less intense, but yeah, what a great job, dude. One of the most meaningful things I ever did in my life, brother.
I'll say, guys, I talked to Joe, we talked about every day.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I talked to you almost every day you got off work during the week.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen this guy run down so much just from that job. But I will say this, okay? Even though it wore him the fuck out, he did it because he loved doing it and he loved it was rewarding for you to see the change in the kids. Like,
when you
like Joe put his heart into this. Like, it wasn't like he was just doing it for a paycheck.
So it goes back to the education about sociology. I didn't have an education degree. What I had was I came across the job, offered the job, and took it. But what it was rewarding. One of the ones I remember right now sitting here with you, and if I were to sit for hours, I would remember other ones, was a student I had, and they said he couldn't talk, and they said he couldn't sit in his chair for more than 5 minutes. So when I got him, he's just ripping everything up and, doing all kinds of behavioral issues, papers, breaking things, chewing things. He's got pica. So months go by, right? And so I finally get this kid, him and I finally get an understanding. Well, the first time I took him to the library, you ever seen those boards where there's like letter magnets?
Yeah.
They're like different colors and everything. So he couldn't, so he wrote, think of others. Well, all the letters weren't there, but he spelled it phonetically, and it was think of others. And I went, all right, this kid's saying, like, think of others. That's a pretty deep thing for a child who's ripping things up to say, right? So anyways, we finally get an understanding with this kid, and we're doing mathematics, right? And I invited his finally I get him at the chair. He's sitting for like 10, 15, 20 minutes now, right? He couldn't even sit for 5. And literally it was like 30 seconds to a minute when I got him. And the grandmother and the mother came in, and the kid's sitting in the chair. He's not moving, but now he's hitting me and breaking things, but he's still staying in the chair. And they're horrified. And I'm like, no, this is good. He's like sitting in the chair, right? And they're like, this is what you do every day. I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine that he's hitting me. This is good. So months go by. Finally, he stops hitting me, and we're doing math one day, Brad. And he reaches down, and he's got tears in his eyes, and he reaches down and kisses my hand. And not because the work was hard. I think it was because he was actually doing mathematics with me. And so, like, how do you beat those kind of moments? Yeah. It's like, so yeah, it was really, really rewarding job.
And you saw a lot of change in, like, your students.
Yeah, without a doubt. With the team of people we had built around, and I would argue that I helped build around us, it was amazing, the change we would see in children. Confidence levels would go up. Their academic understanding would go up. Their ability to communicate would go up. Behaviors would diminish. They just weren't as angry. And then they were exposed to other... It wasn't just the academics, it was also the life skills, and to be able to do things and to be able to participate and to have a friend, to have a school picture. I was taking photography there for the kids, not trying to make a profit off of it. I just wanted to do school photos. Our kids didn't get school photos, so I was a photographer. I'm like, I should do this, And I remember the first time we sent those photos home, and it was, some of these kids are like 8, 10, 12, some were younger. The parents were in tears. They had never had a school photo. So the whole time they've been going to the public system, they couldn't even sit to take a photo. So yeah, those kind of, like, it wasn't the money too. Remember what I was making?
Yeah.
It's nothing, right?
And so what were the skills that you were teaching these kids? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Like the life skills?
Yeah. So when you think of education, you think you're teaching them, like, you're teaching them, math.
Yeah, we did math. We
English and all that. But what's a big portion of that with skills?
Well, the life skills, we were so fluid in that school. We had a director that was wonderful. And so what we were able to do is we were able to take math, right, and go cook something. So you got to measure water, right? You got to count how many, you need for every person. So you could take math and turn it into a cooking assignment. You could take science and turn it into a kind of a fun thing downstairs. We'd have a big table, and we'd be able to do like a science project down there. But you think you're not really getting life skills with that, but then they would have to present, right? So they would have to maybe do a project together and present, like, how would you design, what kind of business would you start? They would say like a pet shop. And so you'd have 3 kids working together on the older classes, right? And designing a pet shop. And they would have to present and talk to each other and argue it through and each participate. Well, you think that's pretty simple. It's not simple for a child that has autism that doesn't collaboratively work, right? The other thing was we had children that didn't even know how to brush their teeth. I mean, by 2 and 3, my daughters were brushing their teeth, right? They're putting a toothbrush in their mouth. These kids some of them didn't know how to do that. So we would do that with them. They might not be able to put, because of sensations, they might not be able to put deodorant on. So we'd work with them, put deodorant on. I mean, it's just constant all day long, man. They didn't even know how to open up their food. We had one kid that couldn't even unzip his lunch pail. We had to teach him from the ground up, like how to feed himself. We had another child. One of the most amazing cases I seen was the child that had trouble eating, and we helped him eat, and his hair started growing in full. He became more verbal just from going through the process of sitting at a table and eating daily. And these things that I'm talking about took hundreds and hundreds of times trying with these kids sometimes. Didn't happen the first day. It didn't happen the second day. Right? Or you'd get down the path and you'd have regression. And you'd have to start, not over, but you'd build it back up, right? So just amazing, brother. I mean, just the growth that you would see in these humans.
What did you take away from it?
That?
Yeah.
Made me
where you are right now.
It made me a more patient person. It really did. Because it's frustrating. It's frustrating dealing with a human. You have to adjust for all that. Right? So can you imagine you have to show me something 100 times to get me to do something, or 200 times or 300 times. At some point, you're going to be frustrated as a human. That's part of the job, is to control your emotions, understand it's not personal, understand where they're at, educate yourself, continually read, and then realize, this isn't personal. This is something that they're struggling with. And if I can get them to do this one thing, all this other stuff might come in for free. So there was like a benefit too. There was like this curve. Sometimes it was like flat, and then all of a sudden you just see a peak. You get them to do a couple of things, and all this free learning would come in. And the quality of life for that individual was just, to me, the way it felt was enhanced and improved because of the team working with this child. And it wasn't just one person, it was everybody. At a certain time at that school, it was the whole team working together. That the way I saw it. You couldn't do it without them.
No.
Like, you needed good, solid, just humans working together, holding each other accountable. Because you can't you don't know everything. So you got to go to somebody and go, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this with this kid. You got any ideas? And they would go, oh, why don't you try this?
It almost seems like there's a lot of issues within charter schools like this, to where it doesn't seem like there's a real solid solution
for disabilities or exceptionalities,
and I know
however you want to
from
say
talking to you, there was a lot of issues within the system itself. I guess you're always going to have, there's never going to be a clear solution when you're dealing with like children with exceptionalities, and you're always going to be constantly working with them on, just improving basic life skills and social skills. Well,
and the problem would be too, part of the problem is that you're looking at a public school versus charter school. The focus is totally different. When we were looking at what we did and what the public school did, our focus is vastly different on some level. So an example of that would be just as how we approach behavior, right? Neither are better or worse. It's just a different approach. And so I think part of it's funding too. People get very protective over, well, if they go to a charter school, we lose that money, right? Even if it is better for the kid. To me, it wasn't $27,000 or $32,000 or $35,000 grant money coming in. If I thought that kid was better served at a public school at some point, little Johnny's going to the public school. Like, I wouldn't fight to keep him. I'd push to get him there. Because I think if he's able to control his behavior, he's able to, sit in an academic setting, he's able to be able to self-regulate, and he's capable of going to a public school, Johnny should go to the public school. Everybody looks at it that way, though. So what I sensed and what I seen firsthand was there's this push-pull as to where that kid gets placed. Or if they even get notified that there's other solutions out there. right? And to me, that doesn't make sense.
So your viewpoint is help these children as much as possible learn these skills at life or whatever it may be, so that they improve and then they can transition into,
if they're on the spectrum to where that's a good solution for them. That's not a good solution for everybody.
Yep.
Right. Some children, they're going to be better suited with us. Or when I was at that school and when I had that team in my head at that time, there were certain students that would have been better served there maybe till they were 18 or 22. Now there are another segment of students that would be, as time goes on, depending on their growth, would be better suited to go back into the public system, just because of, not because it's better or worse. It's just a better solution for their situation.
So let's bring it back to like a business standpoint, because these charter schools are for profit, correct?
Oh, you're damn right there. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars.
Yes. And let's say you put your shoes into one of these owners of a charter school, okay? How would you handle it? Like, because I know, again, talking to you, there's a lot of issues there too.
Well, there is.
How do you? I
mean, ultimately, it was a very disheartening.
Find a solution.
To me, I'm going to just be
and
very,
what would you
very.
do? What would you do?
I'm going to be very blunt.
Perspective?
I'm going to be very blunt about my situation without dropping names of companies.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's appropriate either.
No, I agree. Yeah.
But one of the things I do know is that it did not surprise me, because I'd been on the earth long enough to know that when a merger happens or a company is sold, that certain people get washed out on purpose, right? Because philosophy changes, right? And they want to bring in their people to do that, whatever work they seem necessary, right? But one of the things that there's very few times in life anymore I get fooled. And I was fooled. I anticipated that the individual who owned the company had a better head on his shoulder. I don't care how intelligent he thinks he is or is. His EQ was very, very low with how he handled this merger. And so that left a bad mouth in a bad taste in my mouth. My director was ultimately not there anymore as soon as this happened, shortly after the thing, and she was responsible for working very tirelessly. And without her, I would not have been able to do my job. And I would argue that there wasn't anybody in any of those satellite campuses that would have been able to do their job effectively like they were able to because of her. She worked tirelessly, number one. Number two, it's money. It comes down to money. It's a business, like you said. Millions of dollars. You start figuring 27,000 or 32 or whatever it is, 30, let's say it's 30,000 a student. It's a lot of money. They were paying me when I started I think I got hired in at $26,000. It's nothing, Brad. You know what I mean? Like 26,000. In my classroom, I had when I left, I had nine students with another teacher.
Yeah, and I talked to you so many times about, like, we spoke so many times about, like, there's not enough teachers for one thing, and there's not enough assistants. Like, there's no assistants, because I mean it can be a dangerous job too at the same time.
It was dangerous for me.
There were many injuries that
there's a tooth here that's split right
yeah.
here. I mean, I'm still waiting to get it fixed. It's embarrassing all get out. I've thought about it this last 6-7 episodes. I know it's showing. You know what I mean? It's $6,000 to fix that.
Yeah.
And we're getting business coming in this year, and I'm going to take care. But
and it's not the kids' fault.
No.
It has nothing to do with that.
It's
just part of the job. You know, but you know what the situation is, and you think that one teacher wouldn't be stuck with 9 children, or
I had another teacher with me.
Like,
I had another teacher with
5 kids. Didn't you?
Well, I had
starting out.
No, I always had 2 or 3, and then I went up to 6. Well, and one time I did have 6 kids in the classroom by myself. And the one day, and it really occurred to me the one day, and that's not, it's within regulation. It's not that you can't have that many kids. The state of Ohio allows that 6 kids or more. But there was times we were dealing with severe behavior that it's nice to have other people. You know what I mean? But the thing is, more importantly, what it comes down to is that, here we are. I mean, you can't just have anybody teaching these kids. You're talking about stressful. You're talking about constantly being on to make sure the children are safe. You're talking about modifying behavior and being able to switch between tracking behavior, educating, and still keeping track and control, educational control of your classroom, right? It's a lot. It's a lot of information. I'm only scratching the surface of it right now. And so when you think about paying a man or a woman $26,000, and if you take, and even if you had five kids or 4 kids at $27,000, they're keeping too much of the profit up top. You still should offer people a living wage, right? That's not a living wage. $26,000 isn't a living wage. $34,000 isn't a living wage, really. If you're commuting back and forth to work, and it's just not
and taking care of a family. A lot of these,
yeah.
You would say it's probably a higher ratio of women than to men.
Oh yeah, there was only one.
Too,
there was only one other guy.
Probably a lot of single mothers and
in the building when I left. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. There aren't great solutions, but I didn't do the job for the money. Number one, but I was fortunate enough to have side hustle. Right? How many weddings did I do every year? You've seen you and I did how many gigs together. I still was working more than just my job, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, one of the best jobs I ever had. A lot of problems. It opened me up to understand maybe some more, understand the intricacies, and it's not a one-dimensional problem. It's not like, oh, people need to pay more and then everything will be good. And it's not like that. There's the educational system, there's the IEP situation, there's the push and pull from the districts, there's the funding issue, there's the, how do we diagnose children issue, there's the families who are suffering also and need help. And, so it's just this vast problem. And I don't want to say problem, it's this vast life situation of how do we make everybody's life, or how do we improve people's lives, right? And there's a lot of roadblocks while doing that. It's hard to find people to do that job long term. I can't tell you how many people leave, how many people get hired that just weren't, and we were protective of our kids, right? So we wouldn't let anybody in the building for any length of time if we thought, there's a learning curve. You got to learn. I mean, I had to learn. Everybody's got to learn, right? And college can't prepare you for what you're going to see in a school like that when you're modifying behavior. It just can't. You only learn from doing it. I'm sorry, but I seen people that were smarter than me, more educated than me, not be able to do that job. They just weren't suited for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I couldn't do it. Like anybody that's in that field, anyone that's a nurse, anyone that, those are jobs that I am not suited for.
Yeah, your boundaries.
And people that can do that, kudos to them, because much respect.
Well, and I think that goes back to
for people that could do things that I can't do or wouldn't be willing to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's certain things I don't want to do, right?
And thank God we have those people.
Well, and I think that's important. We've got and you and I are an advocate for vocational schools. We agree with that. We think that's a good solution for some people, right? I believe that, right? And we need to get back to where it's okay to do something different. You don't have to be wealthy in this country to be productive in this country and needed. And it's okay to be dirty and do a job and do pipe fitting or electrical work or mechanic work or body work or...
We both come from families of that kind of working class mentality and getting your hands dirty and nothing was handed to us.
We were... You more than me. I mean, I know your dad had really taught you to value what you have, right? He made you early on pay for stuff early.
But you still came from a working class.
Oh yeah,
family
but I'm
too.
just saying, from talking to you, it seems like mom and dad kind of spoiled us a little bit sometimes with.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Your
skateboards
your parents
and airwalks and this.
They're great people. And their intentions are solid. You know?
Yeah, but it's definitely a working class family. You know what I mean? It's like my grandfather was an iron worker for, I feel embarrassed that I can't tell you how many years it was, but very working class. On my dad's side, grandpa had a truck company and ran apartment complex, and and then his great uncle Louis was a plaster guy, and Uncle Joe was a glass layer, and it's like these are all very working class family, people that were around. And I think it goes back to some of our conversations or private conversations that we had making a purchase on this investment property. We didn't have a lot of people around telling us that was probably an option early on, right? They're not in our way definitely now. They're proud of us and they want to support us, and they have. But
yeah, no one was ever in my way. Like, I was fortunate because my parents and my dad never stopped me from doing the things I wanted to do.
No, but I'm saying is like nobody's really pushing us to do that. That wasn't a normal conversation in a working class family to do investment properties.
No, not at all.
Or to run your own business, or to, that wasn't a normal conversation that you and I. But they're wonderful people. Absolutely. I'm so thankful what they have taught me, but that doesn't mean that we can't do that now. And my parents are supportive. They, I told them I was quitting my job to go partner with you and to do the photography business. And they're like, yeah, do it. You know what I mean? Like, but they had seen us work over a decade. It wasn't like these were pipe dreams. So anyways, yeah. So yeah, there was parts of that job, Brad, I don't know how I did. So you say, like, I understand what you're saying. Like, my parents literally almost laughed when I told them I was going to become a teacher for autism, with children who have autism. I'm not like, I'm a nice guy, but I'm kind of, that wasn't in their head that would even be a possibility of something I would do. Yeah.
See, I totally, from knowing you as well as I do, I totally see that up your avenue. Just because of who you are as a person, wanting to help others, especially kids.
Yeah, that was fun, dude. I had so many laughs doing that job too. As hard as it was too, there was so many funny times, man. Some of which I can't say, and some, maybe someday.
I experienced one of those that one day when I was with you and we were chasing a bat around the school. A bat was inside. You said they had a bat infestation in there, didn't you?
Well, yeah, we'd get a bat. Like, I bet you there was 10 bats while I worked there over the 7 years. Like,
oh yeah.
The one time I heard the Mr. Ed, who was a maintenance guy, janitor guy.
The horse.
Yeah, that's what I would say to him. I hear him scream one day. I'm like, what's going on, Mr. Ed? Wilbur. No, he said, he yelled or something. And there was in the urinal, there was a bat hanging off the urinal. So when he went to go clean it, it was fucking hanging in there. He's like, oh shit. I scared the hell out of him.
I wonder if it was in there when the kids were going in the bathroom.
I don't know.
Those things can carry rabies.
Yeah,
and
I know.
All kinds of shit. Yeah,
they scared the hell out of me. Joe would always get them. At the guy I worked with, he would always get them up. He was like, I don't know. I'm surprised he was fearless with it. I was no, thank you.
Didn't you say that you thought that place was haunted too?
Yeah, there's from what I understand is was that cholera? How do you say that?
Cholera? Yeah, there was a cholera
breakout epidemic in this area,
and there's a grave site in one of the Sandusky cemeteries, a cholera cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the cemetery, there's a place I think where they buried a lot of people that died of that.
Well,
I think there's a sign outside that.
I think they used some of the coolers in that building.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know
for the bodies.
Certain. Yeah,
to keep them.
Yeah. Why they were transferred? Yeah. So I've never read about that yet.
Down disease and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's some crazy stuff that happened in that building.
And there were nuns downstairs, right?
Yeah, there was there was a section downstairs in the basement area off the cafeteria where they had a corridor with classrooms and stuff. They had operated out of there up until the last 2 years while I was there.
Yeah.
But there's some strange things that happen. Things that would, we can go into that some other night. Remember this topic and I'll talk about it.
We have some stories.
Yeah. There were some strange things that happened there. Yeah.
Remember the hotel We gotta
Oh,
tell
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
story.
We'll have to tell the hotel story. So Brad and I have had a couple encounters we'll go into on another episode about paranormal and some other.
These are other subjects we can touch on too.
So whether you believe it or not,
crazy
I can
shit.
tell you what I saw, and that's kind of how I go on some of that stuff. I actually saw this, so yeah, that's man.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a good experience, Brad, and but wore me out. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I was.
You even noticed your face. You were telling me.
Yeah, like so. Was that last week?
Like you saw it almost kind of. You felt like it was aging you.
It was aging me. The stress.
I don't know if it would be aging or if it was just from the stress.
Well, I think the stress does age us quicker. Yeah, it was aging me. I noticed. I think last week I came out of the bathroom, or 2 weeks ago. We were getting ready.
Yeah,
to do
you said
something
you
in the
noticed your
morning
eyes weren't as baggy.
And I felt like my skin.
And I see it too.
Looked healthier, and I was just really wore out mentally because when you walk into that building, from the time you walk in to the time you leave, you're constantly thinking and on. There are no down moments to where you feel like you want to make sure the kids are safe, and there's behaviors there, so you have to watch all the kids all the time. And my fear was always like, if something happens and I can't say what happened, you know what I mean? Like, let's say another kid hits another kid or something, whatever, right? Whatever it might be, and you can't explain that. That's not good. You know, like they're entrusting you to come to that school because they're struggling. And so they need an environment where it's predictable, safe, and open, right? And so that means being transparent. And that you got to know what's going on. So, yeah, it was very stressful.
Well, glad you don't have to endure that anymore.
No, I'm done with that. And but I feel like I'll still be attached to some of the families because I've been contacting.
Well, I know you are because you talk to the parents to this day. Some of the parents, right?
Yeah, there's
like
few.
they reach out to you. You reach out to them, see how things are going.
Yep. So I'm very glad to have met everybody and very, very grateful because I like I always said, I don't know who's learning more, me or the kids.
But again, how many people are going to do that when they quit a job? Yeah,
I don't know.
Give you
I don't know if other people did that or not.
Like, that's commendable for sure.
And I hope I can do some, I don't know if I told you, I offered respite services to the families. There's about 7 families that I offered that to. So what that means is I would,
telling me.
If they needed somebody to interact with their son or daughter, I could come to them and actually do that if they need some downtime or need to go do something and they don't feel like it would be a good environment for the individual, or if they just need a break, and it's not babysitting with me. It would be life skills or doing something to move them forward, behavioral modification. Even though I don't have that degree, I definitely have learned enough to be able to continue to do that with children and people, even people too, I think, young adults. So that skill in itself it's invaluable because it works with other people. So what I mean by that is being positive with people, telling people what you want instead of what you don't want. Right. So that kind of fits with what we're working on too, is what do we want, And I think I already had that built into me a little bit before going to that job, but that reinforced it.
I will say Joe is still dealing with children with exceptionalities. He has to deal with me.
Yeah, but I don't think
encourage me on this podcast.
No, that's okay too.
I'm like, man, I screwed this up today. I notice like the beginnings are the hardest.
Yeah, but it
with the podcast, but towards the end it kind of picks up, and then like even today I was like, man,
I know it's
rough, and then
that dead sound too makes it feel worse. But thanks for being honest. What I love about you, brother, is that you're honest
of not knowing what to say.
I love that you're honest about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, or I want to talk and be real about those kind of things. And
trying to be authentic. I keep using that word, but being real. Yeah, just
and that's why I'm doing this too.
Yeah.
I want to get better at that, not let that bog me down, because that's been
This feels more like how we usually talk,
struggle
though.
for me.
This
Yeah,
last little
kind of.
segment was better.
I think we goof around a lot more.
Well, yeah, but
And
we say
I think we need to open up more.
we
with
will.
that.
Yeah, I think
Because I think that's where I get, because I like to not be so serious at times.
Yeah, but I'm more serious than you. At times.
Sometimes you are.
Yeah.
On this, you are.
And sometimes just in general.
Yeah.
I think I'm more serious than you sometimes because you're like, oh, I'm kidding. You know what I mean? You'll have to point it out to me. Well,
It's not that I don't take certain things seriously,
no, not at all.
but I like to. It's just how I am. It's how I've always been.
Well,
So, but yeah, I thought it picked up at the end. I think it got better on my end. Maybe, I don't know.
no, you did. You seem more relaxed.
He had more to say, but I felt better at the end, I guess.
Glad.
And I hope you felt good about
Yeah,
all
I did.
this too.
Yeah. It's kind of a vulnerable thing to talk about too, because I got to be. If I can just add this in a little bit, is like I feel that there's a confidentiality of talking about what I did too.
Oh, I
At our
agree with
school,
you. I understand.
You know
that,
what I mean?
yeah.
So I have to be cautious. So if I seem cautious at times while I was talking about this, it's kind of where I'm at. I always took that very seriously because they're not only students; these are people that I really care about deeply. So I don't want to say anything that might harm them or offend them. Or
Yeah, I don't
anything
think
along
you
those
said
lines.
anything that would compromise that relationship. But you're being honest too with how you feel about things.
Yeah,
I think
and
you don't work. I mean, you're not a part of that system anymore.
No, and I'm
as
still
far as,
holding
like-
back a little bit because there's more to the story.
And I
but
understand that, and you should. It's proper to not.
I think
reveal.
it's so hard to let go of things sometimes. You know, you put like when you go to work every day for 7 years somewhere and you invest your time to be a part of making something better, and then you see like it's hard to let go of that. Even though I knew it was time to move on. That makes sense.
Well, I think there's an exception to that job because you're actually changing lives
Right.
in a meaningful way.
Yeah, that was not an easy.
Or not all jobs are that way, you know?
That have been a gas station. Would have been my, because I've worked at these places, so I'm not knocking them. I'm come working class. I don't take this the wrong way, but it's not like going to a gas station.
But that's a different scenario. That's a different situation right there. Like you're dealing with something that literally can change lives. It can change the kids' lives. It can change their parents' lives.
Well, yeah, and if you have a parent that's working with you and that is striving to make those changes with you to modify the behaviors that they're struggling with. So if you decrease those in the home, right, working collectively with a team of people, and that's your focus, well, it makes your life better, right? Makes your house feel more calm, right? So yeah, I could see the potential. Or a kid wouldn't get out of the car, and now he gets out of the car and goes to school.
And I know the parents dealt with a lot of issues that you and the other teachers had improved and kind of made life a little easier on the parents, you know?
Yeah. And that was the goal. We're here to serve not only the child, but the parents.
A lot of it's creating habits for these kids, right?
Yeah, it's redirecting. It's
and sticking to your guns and kind of keeping a discipline mentality with it, I guess.
One of the things I always noticed was if you were consistent, truthful, and honest, and positive with them, building up their self-esteem, right? That went a long way to help them to connect with you in a way that would allow them to hear the replacement behavior, right? So, and you had to really pay attention to those little nuances of, A, is the replacement behavior really going to help them? You know, it's got to be meaningful, right, on some level. It was just a very interesting job. You know, it was constantly calculate. I think that's why I liked it too, to be honest with you. It wasn't just the helping part. It's you're constantly thinking. And I like to think about those social interactions. You know that about me. I love people, man. I want people to do great. I usually err to the side that most people are good. I'm not a fool. I know that.
I agree with you there.
You know?
So
I like seeing... So I like being a part of something like that, where you're looking to improve somebody and help them and look for the positive and teach them how to do it better. That's
I know
a good
going
day.
back talking about like the whole social media thing.
Oh,
Like I do agree with you that most people are good people and have good intentions. You know, I do.
yeah. No, I
I mean,
know.
just think about the people that you run across every day in your life.
Oh, I mean,
How often do you rarely ever run across somebody that's a true asshole? Or,
but you brought up a good point. That's when you're face to face. There's a difference between being face to face. I've talked to full on felons before.
yeah, me too.
Uh,
I know some.
Totally fine conversation. I've seen them actually help people. You know what I mean? Like, and so, you know, maybe I don't, you know, maybe they got back on track, but you meet people sometimes that are on that edge. And if you meet them face to face, sometimes it's a lot better. You get online, I totally agree with you. That anonymity.
Yeah,
who knows what
it's
you're
a
going to
different
get.
world.
It's a different world,
Yeah.
man. It's a coward's world.
People aren't showing their true
Yeah, it's a
selves,
coward's world, in my opinion. If you're going to act that way,
or maybe they are. Maybe they are.
some are
showing their
that
true
way. Some might be that way, but I think the majority aren't. I think they hide behind that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you.
There's not a face to look at when you're talking to, you know.
Yeah, it's really hard for me
like
to call
and
you
me here.
Call you a fucking idiot and look you dead in the eyes.
Yeah.
No, you're a fucking idiot.
Right.
I mean, that's really hard to, that's like, oh, you know, like, but I got to stand here and look at you.
Yeah.
Then I got to look at you either being hurt or upset, right?
Yeah.
I typed that. What are you going to do to me? Nothing. You're going to type back something in capital letters? Big deal. So, but yeah, so job title, right? But on to the next thing. I'm excited to what we're working on, Brad. So that's the way I see it. House, renovation, possible Airbnb, another purchase, increased sales and marketing for both companies, and streamline the process for video. I see a lot of great things happening right now, but we're doing something daily to make that happen.
So would you say that's going back to your previous job that we just discussed? Would you say that's made you more patient with what we're doing now?
I think it'll make me...
Because I think there's a lot more on our plates now. We're trying to do multiple things at once.
What I think it'll make me do is value the time I have now. I think and also it has taught me to deal with people differently, right? Problems don't seem so big, right? When you're dealing with stressors all day long, right? You can see the attitude difference. I'm not stressed out. So, yeah, I think it. Maybe I was supposed to work that job for 7 years. I don't know, because it is less stressful right now.
Because all of these things that we're doing to reach whatever goal it is that we have, it requires a lot of patience. Like whether you're into real estate investing, rentals, Airbnbs, whatever you want to do.
Working with city, working with
operating a business, trying to
clients, client problems, gathering information.
Make steps,
Yep.
Little steps every day to accomplish whatever it is within that field. This whole podcasting, which is an entirely entire job of its own.
Yeah, we're not getting paid
for
this.
Part-time.
Right.
It's been kind of a full-time thing,
right?
Almost.
Well, it's something we want. We both agreed we wanted to do. So, the hour vision has come to fruition. Now we got a name. We're going to keep moving forward. And I think that's kind of the thing is that
even though it looks like I'm miserable on here, I actually have fun doing this.
Well, I don't. I think at the beginning, I think you look fine, but it's worse in your head. Could be worse.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll help. I think all of our experiences from, where we've been inching forward, puts us where we're at today. So I think for both of us, I think we've both been we put ourselves either in a lot of different situations or we've been put into different situations that are helping us. Because I feel like we're moving forward every day doing something. That's kind of been my motto.
Yeah.
Being productive and actionable. And I know that's important to you. We talk about that. So I don't want to just
get sidetracked. It's easy to get off track. It's easy. It's easy to not try.
Yeah.
To do something.
Right. Oh, it's not perfect. Should I do it? No, I won't do that. It's not perfect. You know how many times I've done that to myself? I'm done doing that. I was writing up an investment page for the site, right? Have you look it over. It's pretty close now. Look it over tomorrow. Get that up. Done. Move on to something else. Right? And we came up with, we did an exercise this week. How long have we been talking, Brad?
About an hour and a half.
Okay, I think we're going to.
But I think maybe like a half hour of the beginning.
Okay. So we might have to adjust
trash.
that. But we can adjust it, right?
Yeah, I know.
So one more thing real quick. We did an exercise this week, right? Of picking 5 different target areas we want to do for video production, right? And I enjoyed that exercise, right? Because we hadn't really done that before.
No, we didn't.
And I think
I think we had
talked, but I don't know that we defined it like we did the other
We'd
night.
explored it.
Right.
But not I don't think we really thought it out and broke it down like this.
And I think we were trying to come to a point of like what we'd be interested in too, so that it would add value. That wouldn't just be getting a client, but it'd also be working with a client that we'd also be interested in doing. I think is the approach we took on some of it.
So a lot of this goes back to the information that's out there from other people. So I look for people that are doing it, that are successful at whatever it is, and I try to listen to how they're doing it or learn from them. And this is kind of one of the things too that we came across, was finding 5 or however many you want industries, like from a business perspective, like 5 industries, I think it was, that that you're passionate about or that you're
interested in. Right.
So ours was we're working with education. We live on a lake basically, so there's a lot of boating and recreation.
So we thought that might
we're
be
into
good.
Like recreational side of that. Outdoors, we both love the outdoors, so there's something there.
Yeah, we haven't completely defined that yet, but we're working on that. And then
we're into like real estate investing, so we thought that could be a good networking, not only like from a business standpoint of making a living, but also
the investment side of
with
the networking
people
investment side. Yep.
In that industry. And
food and beverage was another
food
one.
And beverage. So like,
and the reason I said that when we were talking about it was Cleveland has a lot of privately owned restaurants,
coffee shops,
and so we were
restaurants,
thinking,
breweries,
coming up with a way to market that. And so, yeah, that was good exercise for us to do. And then going on Google Map and then being able to drop a pen, you probably type it in and move the thing around. Oh, there's that businesses that are listed on there. Those are the ones that are listed. Some aren't even listed. But that's a start, right? So you start to think about it and you can look for those. So I thought that was a good way for us to continue to move forward and make some more sales this year.
Yeah, so like whatever service or product that you're providing to customers, like go on Google and search up businesses and look for businesses in those industries and see if they're lacking in what you can provide for them.
That's the good point right there. We talked about that too, the lacking part. I like that, because we talked about then, like before we got it set up in this office here, the home office here, we were working on the other one, was that we were looking at those business in depth. What does their website look like? Do they have good content? Are they updating it frequently? They might need content, right? So do you have what they need? For us, it would be creating content for them, right? For you, it might be something different, but yeah, it's definitely a good exercise to do. It's a numbers game. Lots of people are going to say no. You only need a handful to make it a good contract to make it through the year. You just need a handful. And you're going to work harder than you ever worked for yourself, but it's definitely more fulfilling, for me at least, than going to punch a clock to 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to do that anymore. I'm trying to do something different. Yep. So, not trying, we are. So,
correct.
I'm glad we did it. And that was after hours. So we worked during the day, and then we ate, and then we sat and we did that exercise, right? So
yeah, so that's one thing. That's one thing you could do in a day, and it didn't take a ton of effort. It was just sitting back, thinking about it.
Start to define that.
What do we like? What do we enjoy? What's interesting to us?
And we might have missed something. I'm sure we did. We'll figure that out as we go. But I think the next part of that project would be, or that exercise would be, is make sure you get every one of those down on a list to call. All right. So it's got to be actionable. It's not just making the list and then never talking to anybody. That's not going to get us.
Yeah, it can be cold calls. It could be reaching out through email, social media. There's many strategies to the game.
Well, and that got me down the rabbit hole for the metadata today. That exercise was part of all that.
And again, a lot of these steps that we're taking, that we're exploring these ideas and what's the word I'm looking for?
Hot dogs.
Sorry, brain fart again.
Crab cakes.
It's
scooter farts.
A
lot of these ideas.
Yeah. Now you just
I totally lost it. I'm sorry, dude. I kicked it right out of his head.
Went off the track on this, but what I was gonna say was a lot of these things we haven't done ourselves. So
right.
So we're gonna test these out and through trial and error. And
what's a numbers game at that point? You're actually putting yourself. You're trying to.
They're
land.
Great.
Yeah.
There's that word again.
Exercise. Planning.
Exercises. Plan. I mean, yeah. I mean, there we go again. I mean. All right, shut up, Brad.
You mean what?
Shut up.
What the hell do you mean? Tell me what you mean.
Nervous in front of the camera again.
What camera? There's no camera.
And then I got Joe staring at me.
All right. Well,
I'm just kidding.
Getting close, right?
Close to what?
Wrapping it up.
What, this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once I figure out that word.
Okay. I'll see you guys next week.
I'll have that word ready.
You'll see that on the video stream later. Brad will flash the word up.
I'm gonna keep flashcards with like keywords, so I can.
What was the word? Can you remember?
It's something dumb. I'm just getting anxious. That's all.
All right.
My mind was blanking.
Well, this is the hour vision. We did it
with no vision.
With no vision today.
All right.
Episode 7.
7 in the can.
7 in the can.
And
later on, 2 can.
30,000 more hours to go.
Yeah, we'll probably be good at this.
At least.
You want to take a bet when we're good at this? What episode?
I will never say I'm good at it.
Oh, come on,
That's just
dude.
who I am.
Come on, dude. You would say you're decent at it if you were.
I'll admit if I've gotten better at it.
When do you think you'll get better at it?
I think I may have gotten like 1% better at it.
Maybe.
2?
I don't know. Maybe. No.
0.5?
No, 0.5. I think you're still
0.25?
I think you're still at 0.25.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks
for the encouragement.
Well, I mean, I don't want to mislead you.
I like your honesty.
That's some improvement. 0.5 is better than no 5s.
Mm.
All right.
All right. That's a wrap. Peace.